My name is Francis Abban. Thank you once again for joining us here on the program. Now, we begin today with arguably what has been a very difficult 24 hours here in Accra. A lot of people have had cause to worry about the developments at last, specifically close to the Trade Fair Center, the gas filling station that exploded, seeing lots of people suffer as a result. We know the death toll now stands at 6, but a lot of investigations are also ongoing. All the security agencies are on the ground to ensure that they get this right and get to the bottom of this matter. We will interrogate that for you in just a moment. But as we just mentioned, there have been casualties, 6 injured, but well over 40 injured who are receiving treatment at about 4 hospitals here in Accra. We'll bring you that up in just a moment. But let's first go to the 37 Military Hospital and assess what has been the situation today, especially for the victims.
28 in total patients came to this hospital. Unfortunately, we lost one who was in a very bad condition when he arrived, and within a short space of time, he passed on. We then had 4 who were actually treated and discharged. So on admission at the current moment, we have 23 at various levels and degrees of burn. As you've seen, we've been to the ICU where the worst cases are, and then we've been onto the wards where people have to be treated for varying degrees of burns, but not in critical conditions. The President has indicated clearly that all the costs of all the burn victims from this incident will be covered by the state. So we've made it clear to the management and the Brigadier General in charge, the Commandant, that they should quickly put together all the logistics and the cost of caring for these patients. As you know, with burn victims, there's a need to constantly wash, constantly change dressing, and put them on antibiotics and very strong painkillers. So there is, for each patient, a cost. You have to bring in extra staff to actually deal with it. And this has been done in a very military type fashion in this hospital, so that you can see that all these patients are being cared for in the best possible manner. And once again, I commend the management of the hospital for its professionalism in what has been a very difficult incident.
So that's the Health Minister, Alex Egbefia, today. That's not the only spot he went to today. Actually, he went to see all the victims at the hospitals where they are, well over 40 of them. Matilda Omega is joining us in the studio. She's been with the Health Minister today on all the rounds. She joins us now with some more details. Matilda, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Francis.
In a nutshell, how difficult is it, especially for these victims?
Especially for the young ones, I must say. You could tell how difficult it was for them on the hospital bed. Some of us couldn't stand it. And you could tell that they're really struggling, because when we even went to where the adults were kept in the ICU, for that place, they can't even speak. They're only making gestures. So it's quite very difficult for the victims, especially the young ones who were receiving treatment, like the 37 Military Hospital, for instance. You have some people at the ICU, like 4 persons in the ICU, and the kind of condition they were in, though doctors are saying that their condition has been stabilized for now, though they are still in intensive care. When you look at them, the tears rolling down their eyes and all that, you could tell that
it's difficult. Now, when you say that, then it makes us want to understand this. What kind of injuries have they sustained?
For the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, for instance, doctors, they tell me, people who were brought in there, like 6 persons who were brought in there yesterday, some suffered 100 degrees of injury.
Of heat?
Yeah, so you can tell with those with 60 at the 37 hospital and La General, but for those beyond the 60 degrees, it's very little they can do. So like the Kolebu hospital, for instance, the 2 persons died this morning. But at the General Hospital, where they had 11 persons coming in yesterday when the explosion occurred, They had 5 who were in very critical condition who were referred to other health facilities, but 6 who were adults are still on admission at the hospital. Yeah.
Okay, let's see what you found at the La General Hospital. What was the picture there?
So for La General Hospital, I would say that the condition of the victims looks quite stable. Most of them were able to talk. Some had their families coming in and then talking to them in the wards, and most of them appeared quite a bit okay compared to what doctors said they saw yesterday. Most of them have come out of the trauma stage and they are responding quite well to treatment, and they have their families by their bedsides, and they are responding quite well, and doctors are hopeful that within some few days, if they respond very well to treatment, they would be discharged. Francis.
Okay, now you speak of some other 2 very young people who are suffering as a result of this. 2, an 8-year-old and 6-year-old. What's their stories?
For the 8-year-old, according to the information picked up by the health officials, they say he was with someone. They can't tell who exactly he was, whether that person is among the dead or no one can tell where this child is coming from, and his name was given as let me just quickly check.
Okay, so Matsada will get us the names, but essentially the health ministry have had cause to worry that these 2 specifically need the attention of their parents to help them in these very, very difficult times. They are burned, suffering a lot of burns today, in pain, and need some care and attention beyond what they are getting from the medical officers.
Yeah, we
have that now?
Yeah, we have one named William Bansa, who is an 8-year-old boy who, according to doctors, was with someone, but they can't really tell who exactly he was with. The only information he gave was that he lives around Block Factory. Yeah, Block Factory. That is where he lives, and that is the only information.
Is that the boy?
That is the boy, yeah. This is the 6-year-old boy whose name was given as Michael Ado. He wasn't able to speak that much. All he could say was that he lives around a Trade Fair Center. At some point he was mentioning Achimota, another point he was mentioning 37. So doctors were really not sure exactly where he lives, but information we are picking is that they were picked up at the site, and no one has visited them since they were brought in there. So they are appealing to the public that anyone whose son cannot be found, or if you have any family member who has not reported home, you should move to the hospital and then check on them. Their names again are, one is William Bansa, an 8-year-old boy, and then Michael Ado, a 6-year-old boy.
Okay, so if you're out there and you're the parents of these children, please make it to, is it a 37 military hospital? 37. Make sure you get there and get some care for these ones, because clearly beyond the burns, they are suffering a lot of psychological trauma as we speak. But Matilda, what else did you gather on your rounds today checking the victims?
One refreshing news, I should say, is the fact that government is going to foot all these bills that are going to come in, because if you look at the treatment for burns and all that, it involves a lot, and hospital officials have started making the process to submit the bills to government for these payments to be made. But I have also been interacting with Dr. Nyan. She is at the General Hospital, and she's been shedding light as to how the patients on admission are currently faring.
Okay.
Saw 18 patients at the OPD. These were fairly stable, so they were managed and discharged. And then one was seen on the ward and also discharged, so the patient was also stable. There were 5 that were quite critical, so had to be referred to tertiary centers for higher management, further management. So these 5 were in quite critical state, so they were referred to, as the Honorable Minister said, to Korle Bu and 37. And we were able to admit here 6 patients, 3 females and 3 males. And as earlier on said, they are all adults. Currently, they are all fairly stable. Their condition is quite stable. Most of them have superficial burns, so you realize a lot of them had blisters, so they are superficial. There's a patient who got knocked down by a vehicle, so did not actually sustain burns, but got knocked down by a vehicle. Fortunately, we just looked at her x-rays and there are no fractures or dislocations, so she is also quite stable. So we thank God that generally our patients here are stable, and we are hoping that those that we referred for tertiary care would also pull through the critical. So it's quite interesting, because as I just walked to the ward, one of my nurses is actually demanding for some funds to go and purchase some consumables for the dressing. So I promised that it will be very soon, probably by close of day, would have some bills to submit.
So that's the medical officer at the La General Hospital speaking to Matilda. Matilda, you've been to 3 places. We've been to 37, we've been to La General. What was the picture at Korle Bu?
We went to the police hospital as well.
Okay.
The police hospital, 6 persons who were brought in were already dead, so they are still in the morgue, and then 1 person is currently on admission. But at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, where 6 persons were brought in yesterday, 2 of them died this morning, and then 1 is still in very, very critical condition, according to doctors at that department.
Okay, so with what you just said, where does the death toll stand now? The last time we checked, it was 6. What's the death toll now?
As at 2 o'clock, the death toll is 9.
9?
9.
Okay. So 9.
Yes, so we've been interacting with, Korle Bu is the country's biggest referral center, and they have all their doctors on standby, ready to receive cases which cannot be managed at other health facilities. They are on standby receiving those cases. So I've also been interacting with a doctor at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital at the plastics department, and Dr. Ampoma. He has been shedding more light on how ready they are to manage the situation. Here at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, where we understand that 6 persons in very critical condition were brought in here yesterday following the gas explosion. 2 persons died this morning. 1 is still in very critical condition, and 3 are being treated. We'll be interacting with health officials here to find out what is the current condition of these 4 persons who are on admission.
Maybe the main burn units within the region. Well, what we do is that we always keep our ears on the ground for any news. So in fact, yesterday around 6:30, I was in my office when I heard the news that this had happened. In fact, and we have a WhatsApp group, so my team, we just send messages around quickly to all the doctors on the team and staff. So in fact, we were actually waiting here before the first victims started arriving. And although our ward is full at the moment, we also started moving things around. And so we got in touch with some of the other departments. So surgical, for instance, cleared the 3rd floor, so that in case we had many more victims, because we're not sure what kind of numbers we're going to get. So we started creating space on our wards and space at the surgical block, so that we could receive them. In fact, so we were here till about 11:30. At that time, we had received only 6 victims. 3 of the victims were severely burnt patients. 2 of them almost 100% burns, which is, for such a severity of burns, the chance of survival are really very, very low. And they also had burns to their face, into their chest, and etc. So those were very bad cases. The other one was about 80%, and so it is still being taken care of. And so, and then the other 3, 2 of them didn't have burns, but they had injuries, fractures, because they were trying to escape. And one of them had a very bad pelvic fracture because he jumped out of the back of a pickup, which was moving. They were out of fright. So those are the cases that we received. And then we've had a discussion with our chief executive, because if you look at in terms of the distribution of expertise in dealing with burns, I think we have the most. So we've made it known to the other facilities that if they need hands, we are ready to offer and that's support in terms of dealing with the patients. So that's what we do.
So that's the picture of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, the director of the plastic surgery department there, Dr. Ampoma. Where does this leave us? Where do we go from here, especially for the victims?
For victims, for now, the cost is being covered by government, which we have been assured of. But what they are also appealing is that families should also come to the health facilities and come and support them, because one thing that the doctors tell me is that part of the healing process also involves family and friends coming around, reassuring them, because if you look at most of them, some are still in that state of shock. So they will need the support of their families as well. But the health minister has also been talking about how government intends to provide more support, and he also shed more light on especially the siting of this fuel station. And he raised an interesting point where he said things of this nature should not be politicized. It's about time that we all come together and then condemn these acts, especially those in key positions, those who give permits for these fuel stations to be sited within our communities must also take up their role and ensure that the lives of innocent people is not just wasted
in all of this. Okay, now beyond the trips to the hospitals, I know you also went to the scene where all of this happened. What did you see first of all? Who did you speak to? What do you know?
As usual, you find a large number of people gathered at the scene. Even though the area has been cordoned off, you realize that residents, people who are coming. I met one woman I couldn't really interact much with because she didn't want to speak to the media. She was still looking for her sister. I spoke to some residents who raised concerns about the fact that they are worried about the location of that particular filling station because according to them, years ago when the permit was granted, there were no houses around that place. But now authorities should know that people live within that area, and you know Zenith College is not far from that site. So they are also appealing to authorities to do something about the location of that fuel station. So we can listen to Ifiatenge, who first cautioned residents and asked them not to move to that particular area. And you know that stretch from that where the incident occurred to down to Zenith College, that section of
that
the
road
road has been blocked to the public.
Let's hear from Madam Ifiatenge now.
So we would appeal to well-wishers, would appeal to families and friends that if you know someone who is here or who may be trapped in here, that it's not advisable to come here for now. Because we are informed by experts that it's not very safe until they are able to tell us that the place is safe. So if you have to, or you want to confirm of the involvement or the accident on your family member or friend, we would appeal that you visit any of these hospitals to ascertain that information.
When you say the place is not safe, exactly how do you mean? Does it mean...
We are not directly involved in that aspect. There are experts there from EPA, there are people there from the fire service who would ascertain that and give us that information, and that is what we will also work with. We are to ensure security, are to ensure that people do not take advantage and also get in there. In accident scenes like this, we would have people trying to also little periphery to go in there to steal something, or even passerbys and all that. You can see that this place has been cordoned for now, and that we are preventing people from going, because that is the information we also have from the experts on ground, that for now we can't allow the place for commuters. So we also have to adhere to that until they confirm to us that it's not safe for us to go.
So do I get the understanding that the road has been blocked for now?
Yes, the road has been blocked from this junction to the end of the road. That is the Zenith College junction has been closed for now.
You mentioned that you want some cooperation from relatives and well-wishers in coming here to look for their loved ones or whatnot. Are we? Is that to suggest that people are still trapped in there?
No, there is this assumption that once a friend or a colleague works here, or maybe there's a relative here, definitely an accident has happened. It is possible that they will still be here. A gentleman just walked out and that was it. Oh, my family member works here, so I want to go inside and check whether he's still there, you know. It is not for you to do that. The people we were able to rescue at that time, and who have been injured have been sent to the hospital, and that was the proper place for them to be taken at that time. So if you believe there's somebody in there, we would ask that you go there and identify those persons until a better time or an opportune time where we believe that those who are also at the morgue, the platform can also be created for people to also go and identify. It is not safe for all of us now to be here. So I believe that we should all respect that until the experts tell us that, oh, now we have been able to do everything, all assessment, and it is safe for all of us to go.
Okay. Do I get some understanding that there is still some search going on in there?
Oh, why not? In accidents like that, we continue to search. We continue to do all our assessments. We'll continue to ensure that we provide the necessary security. We'll continue to ensure that there is safety. So if in the process of that somebody is there, definitely we should be able to rescue that person, either rescue the person either dead or alive. So we cannot say that, oh, everybody is out there. But for now, from what we have gathered or from what we have been able to do, we presume that we shouldn't have anybody in there.
Thanks so much.
So that's the police. ESP Ifeatinge speaks for the Accra Regional Police Command, sharing us details as to why that area has now been cordoned off to allow for investigations to continue. But as you can imagine, these are people who've died in this, and so the residents will have their own version to share in terms of what they know of what transpired some less than 24 hours ago. Matilda, you managed to speak to some of them. What did they have to tell you about what they know of this incident?
We had some of them who had very close contact with it. I spoke to one person who was very close to the manager who died at the fuel station, and then he shared the experience as to some few minutes ago he was with him and he had a call that he had to go back to his workplace, only for him to hear that he was among the dead. And you had other residents also raising concerns about the site of the fuel station.
Let's hear from the residents now.
AMA area, when we saw something blast and we saw the gas and explosion, all the air, it goes straight to the air, and all that place become white. So we start running to the other side because we are seeing the direction of the air, where the air is taking the gas. Some people are shouting the gas explosion, so everybody is running from AMA to the other side. Okay. But when the explosion, about 3 to 5 minutes after the explosion, then the fire also exploded. So those on the street up to the AMA area, they all got burned. And the people at the AMA, they are taking their transport away. So we forced them to take those who have been burned to the hospital, and they take about 5 people at their other side. You see, a certain woman, he have come roll the head, all got melt, and it's bad to the face.
Yesterday, one of their manager, he's my best friend. He came to me in my work side. So he's the one who buy food or we eat. So after that, I've told him that I'm going to house. He said, oh, why? Am I close? I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to do something in the house. Okay, he said, okay, fine. So I just left. Within 5 minutes, they call him to say they have closed, so you have to come and collect the money. So he raised there 5 minutes, no, the thing, I hit bing. That time I'm in the house. I said, what happened? So a certain guy told me that there's a gas filling station blast. I said, okay, fine. So I called him, his line is off. So I come back, say, what is going on? Before I reach here, oh no. My friends died. So it's very, very distinct. So that is something that I can.
From you, those of you who live around this area, that looking at how close it is to your homes, do you think that it should continue being here?
No. Because yesterday, there's a friend sent me a picture. I know there's a guy, he's a mason. So the fire burn him. So, no, for area, if you want to stay this area, No.
Yeah, it's very, very dangerous for people who are living around the area. And also I could see that the service, the maintenance, could be one of the causes, of bringing this kind of the fire outbreak. So I believe that they should remove this filling station from here so that people who are living around will not live in fear.
Some residents there speaking to Matilda Omega. Thank you, Matilda, for the wrap today. Clearly a very difficult time for those living in lioness environments and for those who had friends who've had to lose their lives in this very, very tragic day. Just less than 48 hours to go to Christmas. More of a party spoiler, but we must go on and hope that things get better for the future. We'll try and speak to the fire service as well to understand what they've gathered so far per their investigations on this particular fire accident and what will be done moving forward. We'll go for a short break. You're still watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're still staying on that story as regards the gas explosion at Lad near the Trade Fair Center, which we know has killed so far 9 people, with well over 40 people still receiving treatment at 3 hospitals here in the capital. Let's get an update on the investigations being done so far. We can speak to Prince Billian Aglate. He's the Deputy Head of Public Relations at the Ghana National Fire Service. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. It has been almost 24 hours since the accident. What have you been able to gather so far as to what caused this?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity given. We have still been on the ground until this afternoon. What we are doing this afternoon is to transfer the remaining gas in the tank to another vessel to be able to remove the hazards associated with this gas station. We were trying to ensure that all those electrical installations that were part of the fire have actually been removed from the premises to make the place safe for anybody that want to have a normal business. So now, as we are talking, currently the transfer of the gas from the remaining tanks is ongoing. We are hoping that will be done successfully. We have also continued to do our investigation. We have a few possible causes to this fire. We are trying to look out for the people that were working before the incident and try to let them answer a few questions that will assist us in concluding what actually might have led to the fire and the explosion. That is exactly what we are doing for now.
Okay, so what does your preliminary investigation point to?
Well, actually, since we are not able to settle on anything exactly, we are only looking at those things, and we don't want to divulge those information into the public for now, because we are going to interview the people that were working there before the incident occurred. So I will not say anything about that for now until we are able to talk to the people, and then we are able to conclude on something.
Have you been able to gather all the forensic evidence you require from the scene?
Yes, for now, I would say yes. What we had last night during the firefighting when we started, and this morning, I personally, I just left the place about 20 minutes ago this morning, that I was there with the investigators that we were trying to gather all the clues that would assist us in the investigation. So yes, I would say that all that we needed have been actually gathered from the fire ground.
Oh, and I asked that question bearing in mind that the police service have had to block that road to aid you finish your work. With that done, does that mean the road can be open for many who use that route to have it?
Yes, we are hoping by the close of today or early tomorrow morning we would have to open that place. All that it takes is about the safety of the people that are using the place. So as long as we are not able to remove all the hazards, which include transferring the remaining gas from the place, it will be difficult for us to open the place for people to use. It will not be safe for anybody passing there as at this moment that there are still certain hazards associated with the gas filling station. So we are doing everything possible by the close of today or early tomorrow morning. If we are able to do all that it takes, then we can give the go-ahead to the police to just open up the place for public use.
All right. This particular gas station, does it have a fire certificate?
Yes, they do. I'm sure they have fire certificate.
When was the last audit done by the fire service of this gas station?
last audit done at the premises?
Yes.
Well, that would be difficult for me to say at the moment, unless probably I have to cross-check from the safety department.
And I asked that question knowing full well what gas does in these areas, the process of it being discharged at this particular gas station. Has this been a problem for the fire service in the region? Because we have credible information to suggest that it has become a challenge in Accra, especially with these stations meeting fire safety standards. Is that true?
I didn't get the question.
I'm saying that we have some information that points to the fact that many of the gas stations and its siting in the capital are not meeting the fire safety standards. Is that what it is? Is that what you also know?
Well, of course, what I can say is yes and no. Yes and no in the sense that if you are talking about safety standard, it's not just a matter of having gas fire extinguishers and early detection and warning signs, positioned within the premises. It goes beyond those facilities that people might be talking of. But I'm aware that some of the gas filling stations are meeting the standard in terms of even training their workers to understand and to identify the hazards and to be able to find mitigating facilities when the unexpected is looming. But of course, we are also aware that some of the owners of these gas filling premises, they are not readily meeting the standard in the terms of training of their workers. Some of them, they give their people to be trained. As you train them, the next time they engage other people to work with them, they don't normally make them available for the training. That have been the factors, some of the factors that have been responsible for some of these fires that we have been experiencing on this gas filling station. If you fail to avail the people for training, they will not have what it takes to identify the hazard, even in the first place, let alone trying to provide mitigating facilities. So those are some of the things that we are looking out for, and we want to ensure that every gas filling station owner meets the level of the standard, including the training of the workers within the premise.
Okay. Now, I do recall that following the June 3 flood and fire disaster, the Ghana National Fire Service, in collaboration with the Environment Ministry, went about checking the safety standards at all filling stations and even closing some down. Is that operation still on force or it's on hold as we speak?
It is still on force. We will still go out periodically to inspect these filling stations, not only gas filling stations, all those commercial premises, and then where we know that the hazards are very high, we periodically get in there to assess their facilities and to ensure that they are meeting the standards that have been set for them.
How many filling stations have you visited since you began this operation?
It will be difficult. I don't have the record. That's where I'm sitting now.
How many of them have you closed down?
Well, I could say that this year, I think we closed those that we closed about 5 gas filling stations down this year. And then there have been few of them that have been taken to court for flouting the regulations, LR 1724 Fire Precaution Premises Regulation 2003. Yes, some of them have been taken to court, and for them to also have their punishment for flouting this regulation.
All right. Thank you for your time, Prince Billy Anaglate. He's the Deputy Head of Public Relations at the Ghana National Fire Service, giving us an update on the investigations being done, even though he says that most of the work they've done, the forensic evidence has been gathered, but they will be hesitant in telling us what the initial cause of the fire is for now until they are done with the full investigations as regards this fire accident. Difficult times. We just 48 hours to go to Christmas. This may virtually be a very sad moment for many, especially the families of those who've had to lose their relatives. Condolences to them, but we hope and pray that this does not happen again of this magnitude, or even smaller and less.